Okay, so Jeff, thank you for coming and welcome to the session of learning style. And I hope that this is not quite new for everyone, but it's just something that we just want everyone learn and start to rely. You can say some part that one approach or one method may not be applicable for to all learners in here, since they are different, right? We are also different, you can say. Okay, so I will talk some part about some definition of key term and learning style from a different model. And one more part about learning style and multiple intelligence, that is just being aware only. And if you are not sure, maybe you can go through the book that Stan provide. I think it quite good there, I can say. So it will tell you very detailed from that part. And number 4, just about identifying learning style, that some part that we also can be aware and can test as well, in some part. So in here you can see the first keywords in here, just like connective style. We can say it's an area of psychology which investigate the preferred style of thinking and also problem solving an individual may have, we can say. So some part we can say like they may come up with different solution, they may come up with a different thought or idea. And the term learning preferences it also can be used refer to learning style. We can say like one student may have different learning preferences, all different learning style in here. So these key terms are the same. Regarding to learning style, you can say like they have found and defined it different way, but more the same meaning there. Just like the first one, they may define it as a particular way in which an individual learns, a model of learning, an individual prefer or best manners in which to think or process in here. And there are like information and demonstration or demonstrate learning. They define another one about an individual prefer mean of acquiring knowledge and skill, habit, strategy, or regular mental behavior concerning learning, in particular deliberate. Some part they define that. I'm not going to read for you, but it's just something that they may come up with the thing. And in this part from the book as well, they also talk a lot whether the student can learn based on their style or they just learn based on their preferences there. We can say because they are different, that's why they can learn better, or because they keep doing the same thing and then they can learn better in here. A lot of debate inside, you can see. In terms of connective style, they also define in a rank of different way as well. Like you can see here, like a certain approach or problem solving based on intellectual scheme or thought, or the second one like individual characteristic of connective processing which are peculiar to a particular individual, and some part in here. So we can say like since we are different, the way that we solve or we do things toward the solution, it might be different as well. Not going to read, but just show. Come up to this part about Honey and Mulford, 1916. Just find learning model. There are or learning style. There are 4 different learning style, like activists, reflectors, theorists, and pragmatists. As you can see here, like activists, they prefer to learn by learning by doing, rather than reading or writing and so on in here. And reflectors, a kind of learner who stand back and observe. we can say they are not going to take any action or ask question or even showing any idea or answer any question, but try to collect the big picture or the big idea of the thing before they show. We can say like they look before they live. They need to think and reflect, think carefully before they show or they share in here. So this kind of student may be quiet or passive, we can say, but they are actually learning in here. About a theories like to adapt and integrate all of their observation into framework, so that they are able to see how one observation is related to other observation. Okay, it's similar to constructivism. We can say they will use their existing knowledge combined with what they have observed. Okay, we can say like they will try to adapt or take one phenomena to compare to the other one. I mean like generating one theory or one thing to other situation or contextual context in here, we can say. About pragmatics are keen to seek out and make use of new ideas. You can say, yeah, they try new things. They are a kind of a learner that just take risks or try something. But some part we can say, in some case, this personality they keep trying new things, but some part they may lazy to finish the existing one. We can say they start the project, but whenever the project take too long, they feel bored and then they do not prefer to finish it as well. Normally prefer to try new things. Okay, so I can move a bit fast. Okay, no worry, the slide will be given for free, no charge this one, right? So other style based on a narrow linguistic program like NLP, they just create the more popular learning style, just like a visual learner, yeah, like they prefer to learn by seeing things. Auditory learner, they prefer to learn by listening, yeah, as well as the kinesthetic or prefer to learn by doing, or some they may say kinesthetic learner, they are learning by moving. Okay, so more activity is much better for them, right? They prefer not to just sit and listen, sit and write, sit and see here, but they prefer the activity. Anyway, we can say like yes, by this part they may keep asking, but regarding to Fleming, he just extend to what is NLP, like a narrow linguistic program that they have found. He just extend to add one more about reading. Actually, some part we can say like reading or writing in here, right? Yeah, like or in here or what? Yeah, letter I mean reading or writing. So he just extend to that part. And about what? They also have the questionnaire that help us to assess about type of learners in here. So I have insert the link in this part. Okay, about what you can explore more if you want to use some questionnaire to assess an adult learner or even a young learner. You also can use those questionnaire. Okay, so sometimes they have 3, sometimes they have 4. Different from one to the other one. Yeah. Anyway, according to a major bridge model, okay, there are 8 learner style. We can say like the first one about extrovert, who are happy to trying things out, and who focus on the world of people. I mean, they prefer to work with people. Group work, pair work is fine for them in here. But introvert is just a kind of learner who are likely to think things through and to focus on the world of ideas. So this kind of person the learner prefer to work individually rather than to work in group work or pair work in here. and sensors, okay, who tend to be practical, detail-oriented, and who focus on fact and procedure. Yeah, so sensor mean maybe in Japan that they prefer for the detail-oriented in here. Yeah, like the perfectionist is in the detail in here. Yeah. So some part there. And the fourth one about intuitors, who are imaginative, concept-oriented, and focus on meaning, right? Yeah, not prefer to some part, but they prefer to their imagination, okay, and to bring some idea. Yeah, this kind of learner maybe they are good at bring good idea, new ideas, but for ask them to do maybe not really there, you can say. Number 5 about a thinker who are skeptical and make decisions based on logic and rule. Yeah, like scientific learner. Yeah, so they can make decision making based on the data collection or the thing that they can get it from observation or from they are surfing or searching here. Okay, so they can make the decision there. I forget to tell you actually this one is just one model that they just use it for employment. Yeah, like try to find type of learner or type of employers in here. Okay, but it can be applicable in the classroom as well. Okay, and number 6, just about feelers, like who are appreciative and tend to make a decision based on personal and a more humanistic consideration. Yeah, they just appreciate people. They just keep feeling about people, yeah, like humanity in here, right? Yes. And number 7 about judges, who set and follow agenda and seek closures and completeness even without having the full picture. Yeah. So we can say like maybe detector or spider. Maybe they can be that kind that we can say like they just follow, and even though they do not get enough information, but they may keep seeking for the completeness of that information in here. You can say like they see some part and then they can make assumption and they can make understanding in here. And one last about pursuers who adapt changing circumstances and will defer completion until more is known. We can say like that. Yeah, it's just some part that they keep adapting and changing most of the time. Okay, since they just want to learn something new. Yeah, and this kind of person similar to that other part that we can say like, they may try to start the new projects, but the existing one may be not finished in here, we can say. Okay, so it's just some part, it's a different learning style in here. Okay, let's move to other model of COPS learning style model. Okay, he has classified into 2 individual learning mode or learning model in here. Like the first one about the concrete experience mode or abstract conceptualization mode, mean the dimension concerning how the learner the learner takes in the information. Yeah, the one that receive the information. And the second one about the active experimentation mode or reflective observation mode. Okay, the dimension concerning how the learner internalize information. Yeah, we can say like they just share, they just spread out the information here. And based on these 2 model, it just has the other 4 dimension. I mean 4 type of learner more, we can say. You can see. Yeah, so Cobb has described all of this into other 4 types of learner, like divergence or congruent and reflective. We can say like just something that learner often use the question why, and they respond well to explanation of how new material relate to their experience in interesting here. Yes, so yeah, this Thai learner keep asking why, okay, Thai question why, and then they try to seek out or explain those parts. Okay, now Thai number 2, like assimilator, like abstract and reflective Thai learner in here. So learner often use the question what and respond well information presented in an organized and logical fashion. Yeah, so what? Yeah, so a lot of things that they can describe. Okay, Thai number 3, like convergence, okay, like abstract and active. Learner often use the question how and respond to having opportunity to work actively on well-defined tasks. Yeah, yeah. So about we can say like like construction or building anything, like maybe the project, they may go at the project in here. So they keep asking how, so they may seek out more. And Thai number 4, like accommodator, congruent and active. Like learner often use the question what if and respond well when they are able to apply new material in problem solving. On problem solving situation in here. Yeah, so what if? Yeah, what if this not work? What else? Or what if this tool is broken? What will be next, for example, right? Okay, so something there. Okay, we still have one more continuum learning model. We can say like among 5, there are 10. We can say. So about Silverman learning style model, which are defined like continuum learner style. Like the first one, like a sensing learner, we can say like who prefer to concrete, are practical and are oriented toward fact and procedure, or intuitive learners, similar to what existing the other model, who prefer to conceptualize, conceptual, innovative and oriented toward a theory and meaning in here. And the other continuum of this learning style, visual learner, learning by seeing. The other one, or a verbal learner, who prefer written and spoken explanation. So some part verbal but written as well, right? So both, right? Both written and spoken explanation. Until they can hear and they can read that part. And the third continuum, we can say like inductive learner, who prefer to consider topic by moving from the specific to general. And other one is just about deductive learner, who prefer to consider topic by moving from general to specific in here. All right. Some they can learn well from general to specific, or from specific to general. It should depend. Okay, and the fourth continuum learner style, like active learner, learning by trying things out and working with others, and reflective learner, who learn by thinking through and working alone. So these are different. We can say like active learner work with other, but reflective learner, some part they may stay alone, and maybe the quiet place is just the best place for them to work in here. They need to concentrate and reflect on some part in here. So somehow we can say like a reflective learner might be isolated person as well, we can say. Sequential learner, who prefer to work in a linear, orderly fashion, prefer to learn in small incremental steps. Okay, it's opposite to a global learners who prefer to take a holistic view by learn by taking light step forward. Right? So yeah, we can say like they may prefer to learn something in detail. Yeah. This one we in applying English we call it like FI and okay, I may forget that word. Okay, one they keep learning by cutting things to learn it more specific detail inside. For example, like laptop, they may start to learn about keyboard, about optical mouse. Okay, but other one they prefer to learn the whole picture of laptop in here. So everything combined together we call like laptop in here. Okay, so something there. Okay, so so far we can say like we have a different learning model. Yeah, but the popular one we just learn about 3 or 4 model like visual learner, okay, auditory learner, and read and write learner, and kinesthetic learners in here. Yeah, but in here they just define a lot like up to 10 or up to 8 learning model. But it's up to you. We can say whatever you want to apply, it just depends. Okay, so this part I just show about the finding of some researcher here. But researcher here not mean I just go and read the original text, but they read from the book here. Okay, and they just raise up some part like a fairly consistent to support the following idea, like pupil do learn in different way to each other. Yeah, the finding just demonstrate like this one. But they just find it since 1980 something. Maybe we can conduct new research here. We will see it's still the same or different here. Pupils perform in different subject area is related to how individuals learn. Yeah, based on their learning preferences in here. When pupils are touched with approaches and resources that complement their particular learning style, their achievement is significantly increased.
Can also do research on that experimental research.
Yeah, it's just something there.
Like first we identify like 25 students. So how many fall in which category of learning style?
Yeah.
And then you can group them differently and
Yeah.
do experiment.
Yeah, it should be one research project here. Yeah, before everything is over, we can try this year. Just kidding, right? No worry. Okay, so let's just move to other one. Okay, so according to Butler and Greener, okay, in 1979, okay, they found that 70% of learners will be able to cope however lesson is presented. Yeah, you can see like yeah, they may have much style, even though you want to use picture, crop or whatever. Okay, they can get used to that part or adapt to that part. And 10% will be unable to learn whatever method is employed for reason likely unrelated to learning style, but the remainder will only be able to learn in a visual, auditory or kinesthetic way, you can say. So yeah, 10% maybe they prefer to the particular learning style there. And it should perhaps be the view of teacher that 70% is not enough, that some action need to be taken in order to increase this figure. Yeah. So this is just some part that the teacher may take action or may try to do something. Okay, so this also somehow that can remind us as educator or teacher. We can say in one class just how a different style or different learners in here. So maybe one teaching approach or one teaching method may not be applicable for all. We can say like whatever we plan, not mean applicable with all other class or all other classes that we are going to teach. Or some part we can say like some they say what if the student cannot learn the way we teach, we must teach the way they learn. All right. So this is really important that we also need to identify. So we can say like one learner might not be based on one style of learning in here. Yeah, some maybe if we talk about four popular categories, maybe some of them may have one is strong or slightly different from the other three, but they may get into that part. Maybe they may go at with a visual learner style, it's just about 70%, other 10% maybe in auditory and so on. So we need to accept that, okay, any style that they have, but we must accept that different learner have different style of learning. That's why the teacher cannot be fixed or stick to anything. The job of the teacher to identify the learning style is just to be ready to prepare their teaching material, to prepare their teaching method or approach to be applicable for that part. Learners themselves also benefit from identify their learning style. Yes, in learning style can be significant improve or even increase their learning performance in here or learning outcome, right? Yeah, so this part we can say don't try to test the student and then try to fit to that part. Since we can say no matter you know the learning style of the student, but you cannot fit to any particular student in here. If you focus on one learner's learning style, the rest will be completely boring or upset regarding to maybe your learning style just applicable for one group or one a few students in here, right? Here. Okay, regarding to identify learning style, in this book they also mention actually not any particular tool to apply, but we also can find some quizzes or questionnaire through online. Okay, or okay, what I'm familiar with just about WAC that they should recognize worldwide that those questionnaire can be assessed about learning style. Yeah, maybe you can scan, you can click on that part, and then you can try. Okay, so that's it about my presentation. And I still recommend you to go and read the book, right? Since this one I just take only some part. And in the book they actually they just tell you, I supposed to put it, but there are a lot of things. Yeah, even like introvert learner, they just tell what are the activity that the student going to do, and what are the strength of those teaching method in here. All right. So maybe you can read more, or any stream teaching methodology or what? The textbook.
Yes. Sure.
Yeah, your stream, right? Yeah. So can read more, and then you can adapt more from that part. Yeah. One last thing. Don't focus too much on identify the learner for anything, but identify the learner in order to let them know the way that they can learn, and then we can guide them or tell what they are learning to be much more improved in here. Yeah, but not mean we just focus, and then we just try to design any particular activity and focus on one particular student at a time in here. Yeah. Some part we can say like we can apply variety of technique and material that might be effective for the learner. All right. Okay, so that's it. And if you have something to add or question to ask, it's just fine. Since we just have the one who will responsible for answering. He told me last time, right?
Any questions?
So I have a question. Go ahead, boss.
Go ahead. Okay.
Don't look at me, look at the
Okay.
Yeah, so learning, being aware
learning style is useful for teachers? Is it really useful for students at primary level for them to know whether they are visual learner, kinesthetic learner, or auditory learner, or something like that? Is it necessary for those young kids to know what types of learner they are? Because yeah, of course, we teachers, it is useful, it's important, because it can influence the way we plan the lesson, we prepare the activities in order to respond to different types of learner. But to the student themselves, especially young kids, is it necessary for them to be aware of their own learning style?
You want to answer or you want me to?
Yeah, maybe you can answer first.
Okay, the answer is no. The researcher, most of researcher in the midst of learning style suggested that we should not make students aware that they have a learning style, because learning style do not exist. Students can be different in terms of their abilities, in terms of their background knowledge, in terms of their interest, but not the learning styles. If we make it very obvious that you are the virtual learner, you can learn best only by seeing, and then students will stop reading, students will stop moving, students will stop doing something that are not typically their style. They say, it's not my style, I'm not going to care. So the idea of learning styles do not exist is to encourage students to be able to be flexible, to be able to avail themselves to learn from different teaching styles of the instructor. So wherever they go, in which situation that they are surrounded by, they can even learn. So we don't want them to set one limited standard for themselves, so that it will also limit the way that they learn. That's a very short explanation, and I'll also share the document and also the video on TED Talk that they explain that we should not crystallize the learning style on our young learners, because if they believe so, they will stop doing something that are not their style.
Do you think that individual learner has only one learning style, or can be more than one learning style? Because you mentioned that we assess their learning style, and when we tell them objectively that okay, you are a learner, then they will tend to abandon the other learning style that they have adopted because of the influence of the teachers' words telling them that they are visual learners. But the question is does each student has only one learning style or more than one learning style?
Well, yeah. Well, in fact, there are some strong debates about whether learning styles exist or not. And I pretty much agree with Hornman that they don't really exist. But there is something behind it. There is some observation that some students feel more comfortable in some situations with auditory or visual learning. We cannot dismiss that sort of observation. The problem is whether we should call that preference, styles, or something else. Talking about a style implies that it's consistent and you belong to a style. A preference, maybe preference will be better because you know that your preference evolve over time. There is a question that kids love: what's your favorite color? Typically a question for kids, because when you are an adult, you don't really have a favorite color.
Yeah.
The answer is it depends. It depends on the context. My favorite color for what? For the wall of my bedroom? Imagine you say your favorite color is red. Do you really want to paint your bedroom in red? Do you want to wear your red t-shirt all the time? And so on. And the thing is, the approach that you should use, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, might vary depending not on the learner, but also on the topic at hand. And not just on your preferences. And asking primary students to identify their learning style might be detrimental because they will not explore all the possibilities that they have. So it's food for thought for the teachers to be aware of those theories, but we should be very careful not to label the students, or there will be very bad consequences. I think it's very important that all the students try all the approaches. And, we are all visual, auditory, kinesthetic learner and readers at the same time. We have all those dimensions. If one of them is missing, it means that we are handicapped. I mean, okay, some people are blind. Of course, they are not visual learners. But it's not fun to be blind. And don't treat the students as if they were blind when they are not.
Okay, you mentioned that it's detrimental to let the primary kids to know which learning style they belong to. But what's the point of creating the tool to assess the learning style when it is, when it does no harm?
Why should we learn about those theories if they don't correspond to a reality? I think they correspond to some observations that are valid. But that's a very important question. We can observe that there are several ways to learn something. And that at a given point, some people will feel more comfortable with one way or another. You do your lesson, some students will catch up when you give your oral explanations, some students will catch up when you provide the charts. I think being aware of the learning styles, not just auditory, visual, kinesthetic, but also the others, might give you some clues to vary the presentation methods that you are using, to vary the activities that you propose to the students, give them some time to reflect, some time to manipulate objects, some time to solve problems, times to work collaboratively with other students, but also some time to think alone, because some students are introverts and feel very bad about sharing with others. But of course, you cannot just say, oh, you're introvert, never talk to the others. They also learn, even the worst introvert needs to try to discuss, to socialize with other children. You cannot accept that an introvert will be, in a sort of internal prison, unable to get out and reach other people. But you will not, but at the same time, you don't want to propose only collective activities that will make him uncomfortable all the time. Dr. Somara, yeah, you talk a lot about leaving your comfort zone, and it's important. And it's important that we make the students leave their comfort zone from time to time, but they cannot be always outside of their comfort zone. You cannot live in your discomfort zone all the time. It's hell.
So
Yeah.
so it might be risky to ask the student to scan the QR code, and finally they
Mhm.
recognize the old learning style, and they may change the way they learn.
Yeah.
Um,
I would certainly not recommend that sort of practice.
Teacher wants to know the student learning style, but then he give the tool, the student may know
Well,
the answer.
It,
You can see like even in the textbook here, they also say something about this one. We can identify, but should not focus too much on it. Because like remember that one learner may not focus on one particular learning style. More or less, they will go through the 4 type of learning style. But maybe one is just much more than the other one. Okay, and because like the benefit for that part, for the teacher, especially for the teacher, maybe preparing to be ready for their teaching. Since they may know why assign the textbook for all the chapter for the student to read, and then they don't read, for example. Okay. And so because like about in terms of pedagogy, in terms of content knowledge, it might be much more better than the way that we don't know the learning style. And then because like whatever the teacher brings to the class, it will be fair all the time in here. Yeah.
So back to the question, your question is to be reasonable approach when we identify student learning style. To be able to customize, put more weight on this, on that student can do better. But not necessarily to wholly depends on one preference. Like Stan has mentioned that student preference has evolved from time to time, so it will change. And if we talk a little bit about philosophy, everything is all about natural and naturalness and naturalness. There's no one absolute fact, because even if we now identify students as the kinesthetic learners, maybe the next week the student may change their preference. And then when we crystallize into one particular learning style on the students that will not be true forever, it can be changed anytime. Most likely it will become a burden instead. Like, okay, I'm good at reading, so I will learn only through readings. I will take all the time of learnings, and then the inputs might not be that.
So if the student's learning preference changes all the time, there is no point to assess the learning style.
Yes.
yeah. Well, some students might have stronger preferences. Not all. And it might change depending on different factors. For instance, in some subjects, there will be, you might be able to, you might feel that there is a preference that is clear. Like in math, maybe some students will really work visually. Or in math, for the math lesson, they have found an approach to math that goes through visual things, like you learn multiplications by visualizing objects or rows and columns that could help you to understand multiplications.
Just like an example, like if I learn math, I may be a virtual learner, but if I learn the Bible or the Quran or the Tao Te Ching, I learn by through listening. I just play with
and even by the music of the language.
Music, because currently I have learned Tao Te Ching for over 10 years. Background music and that audio, I just put it and I just meditate and listen to it. But when I learn something else, I get to see Depends on the subject, depends on the situation and what we are learning. So
It's very important to
things.
have an approach that suits the topic at hand, that is consistent with what you have to teach. But it's always good, I think, to have at least two approaches available at any time. Like, I'm providing an explanation, an oral explanation, but I also have some picture at hand to explain to those who might be uncomfortable. And it's about the flexibility that we can provide to the student. So, and also one thing that I would like to mention, it's interesting to combine.
Yes.
You don't.
You cannot separate a single.
You cannot separate actually. When you present a chart, you have to explain the chart.
Of course.
You cannot just use the visual and assume that, oh, this chart with all those arrows in all directions, your mind map will be clear enough. You have to elicit the mind map. You have to elaborate the mind map. But when you have a chart with a lot of arrows, what are the meanings of the arrows? What does the chart mean? So you have to explain the chart. And it's a combination of those different angles that will give a good picture, a good understanding of the problem. And what's interesting in the learning style theories, and even the multiple intelligences theories, it's not so much about the real validity of whether or not they exist, is that they make you think about possible ways to approach an explanation. If you consider that, you will have a very broad panel of options for your lesson. You explain all the time. Just let's try it. Try to use some pictures in your lesson and see if it works. And it will probably help a little bit. Or try to use gestures. That's not obvious, that one. For instance, when you teach action verb, make them do the action. It will help immensely. And kinesthetic is one option that is easily forgotten in the classroom, because let the students move. That's not doesn't seem very practical, but we have a lot of possibilities in fact.
Okay, so we can say like luckily we can say like even based on this result, 70% of learners can learn whatever lesson presented.
Mm-hmm.
Only 10% that no matter any style they may not learn anything anymore.
Which means that there are 20% of the students who might really need one specific approach at a given time. But even then, it's not necessarily all the same approach all the time.
Actually, the idea behind the claims that learning styles do not exist is the integrations of several styles together. Like Dr. Brown, who's very famous in language assessments, he said when you teach students listening, you cannot separate with the other skill. After they listen, they need to read in order to complete the exercise. When they listen, they need to demonstrate the comprehensions by circling the multiple choice questions or answering the passage example.
But it says that one skill is more dominant than the others. You
Right.
cannot separate that.
Yeah. Well,
it is natural.
Still is more dominant.
but it might be dominant at a given time because I have practiced it a lot.
Yeah.
And maybe after a few years, another one will be dominant because I have more opportunity to practice it.
Yeah.
And
that goes to another
one
theory about exposure.
one thing that we can recommend, for instance, is to make the students transfer from one to another. For instance, they receive a message in spoken form, and you ask them to draw a picture about it, and vice versa.
Yeah.
You ask them to read a text and
Ask them to speak out.
and to speak out. And so on. You can play on those different activities, not always in the same direction. It could be from audio to visual, from visual to audio, and so on. It's a good way to utilize this those ideas, those approaches.
Some part I can say we can reflect from our lunch. If we can go to Garrett Mall, preferences are different. But now we can go to this one, some to change. Like you will be right now, change to one.
But Stan never prefer both of them.
So we can say like it can depend.
Oh, where is Stan from on that 10%?
I will not comment on that.
Okay, so anything else that we want to go? And thank you for answering this kind of question. And now
Want to be a question or some idea from teaching methodology?
Okay, so thank you. Like I don't agree, all the learner have one unique learning style. Right?
you agree or don't agree?
I don't agree, like because
Because they have more than one language.
they have more than one, right? And then how to customize all the learners in the class is that our teacher flexibility. How to prepare the lesson and see the situation really in order to have them to learn. Right? As one of you to mention about skill is important, like just if they are group as a kinesthetic learner, so they also need the visualization and also read or write as well, right? In order to have each other, right? So that's why we cannot assume that all learners have one unique, but also they might have body types of learners. So, based on my thinking, I think that one way that the teacher can facilitate the class better or effectively. So, teacher need to differentiate the instruction and also need to be flexible.
Well,
it's not that.
Differentiating.
It's for different ability students.
Not even that. In fact, but we will talk about differentiating instruction.
It's one of the strategy. Digital flexibility in the class.
Yeah, differentiated instruction is very complicated to implement.
Yeah.
And it's not sure that it does what it's supposed to do. But we will have a seminar on differentiated instruction. I would like to make just one remark about that, is that trying to tailor the lesson for each individual student and assign each student to one style, apart the fact that it can become detrimental, it's terribly unpractical. I mean, it's overly complex. Trying to assign, which one I should put in which group, don't bother. One way to do it, if you really want to give them some choice to make them feel more comfortable, and it's not necessarily always a good thing. It's just to let them choose. If you want to do different activities to suit different styles or preferences, in that case, you say, okay, we have one workshop for those, one stand for those who want to do a presentation, one for those who want to do a poster, and so on, and let them choose. They will tell you what they feel comfortable with. And don't assume too much, because as we say, the preferences might vary. You might say, oh, you are a visual learner, so you go in this group, but in fact, maybe the student will feel bad and, no, this time I want to go there.
Yeah, right.
So don't force them unnecessarily, I would say. It's
But based on the video that I watched, American classrooms, in the classroom there are 2 teachers. 4 teachers and assistant teachers.
Mhm.
So we go to students based on their interest and also learning style as well. And then just we have some facilitations from the
Yeah.
assistant teacher, and then the student can learn by themselves.
there is a question that is difficult is whether you should use their strength or focus on their weaknesses. What is the best approach? To reinforce their strength or to compensate weaknesses and to train them where they are weak so that they are less weak. If a student is bad at math and good at Khmer, should you recommend your students to focus on Khmer where he's good, or on math where he's not good yet, and in order to have a set of skills that is more balanced? And in fact, it's not an easy question. And the same for learning styles. If they are good to visualize, do you want to use that ability to make the lesson easier, or do you want to reinforce their language skills? And it's not easy, and maybe you will not make the same choice all the time.
Do you think it is not easy, but do you feel positive that the teacher can do that?
I would need, before making a judgment about what the teachers do, I would like to know more about the context. Yeah, because there might be some good reasons to do it from time to time. If it's done systematically, I'm pretty sure it's bad. I'm pretty sure it's bad. But if you have, for instance, a very specific content that you absolutely want them to understand, and you want to reinforce it, let them feel comfortable about the way they learn, about doing it in a visual way or auditory way. But if it's not so, the content is not so critical, I think it's also important that they practice the other styles. You want people who are balanced, not people who have done the same gesture all the time. It's like, if you do physical exercise, do you train only your biceps? Or do you train your entire body? So, I'm pretty sure we should be careful. And also, there is probably a time to explore all sorts of possibilities, and a time to get specialized, to work on your strengths. Primary school, I really think we should explore everything before making any judgment about the students. Categorizing them, it's way too soon.
So this topic, yeah, it's like controversy. A lot of debates. There's no clear-cut answer.
No, there's no clear-cut answer, and it's important at our level that we are aware of the debates, so that we and I think it's important that our mentors are aware of those debates, because
the debate itself increases the understanding of the
exactly, it increases the understanding and also avoids some bad practices that could come from a poorly understood theory. I'm really afraid sometimes when I see teacher trainings, some workshops where they think that there is only one way to do things, and when they are absolutely categorical. No, we need to be aware of the debates. It's very important. It's extremely important.
Sometimes we can say about learning style, it might be important for one-on-one mentoring or one-on-one coaching.
Well, on one-on-one coaching, you might.
competition, even for the competition, train for the specific purpose.
On one, it might be very interesting to know how your students feel about a specific approach. If you find that one specific student is very responsive to pictures, do it. In a classroom, it's more complicated because you have to take care of everybody. So the main approach that is not too complicated to implement is just to propose different supports, you have a chart, you explain the chart. You give an oral explanation, you also give reading assignments. Just vary the activities, and normally everybody should find something that is suitable.
In the book, they also say something like this one. They say teacher need to be aware of learning style and focus on the growth of audience, not only one particular audience in the class.
All the audience.
Yeah, okay, the growth of audience.
So study we can link this learning style to multiple intelligence because based on some theory from the lesson that I let the student to do more than this. Based on the slide, only 2 or 3 theory but more than this, maybe 10 or 11.
So,
can we link to the learning style and look at the multiple intelligence that you mentioned?
So multiple intelligence has a different starting point, but the criticisms that we could make are more or less similar. The starting point of multiple intelligence is more complex than the learning styles, and I would say more valid, because it has some observational validity. Well, if we are to discuss about multiple intelligence, it will take more time, but the basic idea that we should remember, there are indeed some faculties that can be isolated. What Gardner has found, and he has some evidence for some of the intelligences that he has identified, not all, is that it's possible to have one kind of intelligence without the other. For instance, we know from people who had brain damage that you can lose some intellectual faculty but not the others. We know that there is the Broca's area in the brain. If it's damaged, you lose your language ability. But you might be still able to do some mathematical reasoning. You might be able to do other things. There are some people who can be extremely good at math, have very good logic, but who are totally awkward with people and are not able to understand a joke. Typically, autists. Autists they have that sort of problem. So it's possible to isolate some intellectual faculties, some intelligences. It's not fully experimental because it will be unethical to conduct experiments and remove some part of the brain to check the hypothesis. But it's based on serious observation. However, one thing that we can say about multiple intelligences is the same as with what we have said about learning styles, is that a normal, healthy human being has all the 7 intelligences, not just one. You cannot put people in boxes. Oh, you are good in musical intelligence, so let's just do music. It would be horrible. It would be a very bad education. And even Gardner was against that sort of practice. Gardner explained very clearly in his book that he doesn't approve that sort of things. And he wants to enlarge the field of education instead of putting people in boxes. That's the thing with multiple intelligences. I would say the interest of multiple intelligences is that you will consider more topics to learn, more subjects, rather than testing people only on math and Khmer, math and English.
So they can be,
You will value other things.
Is it a topic like multiple intelligence? Okay.
So I think multiple intelligence will affect the choice of subject in a curriculum more than other things, and the learning style will affect how you learn, how you teach.
Okay, when you read that chapter, you will see something that we know here.
Okay.
It link from chapter 4 to chapter 5,
Mhm.
and then the link about multiple intelligence, how it is important for the learning style here.
But I would say multiple intelligences will affect the content of the course. If you try to develop multiple intelligences, you will change the content. While if you want to take the styles into consideration, it will affect more the way you teach. Probably. And in any case, the same precautions. Don't put people in boxes. Just offer more possibilities.
Okay, so thank you.
So today we learn not only one learning style, but multiple intelligence.